make sure that everybody is okay and that nobody's family is affected. And hopefully we continue to pray so that nothing bad happens. All right, so today we're going to talk about citation and formatting for essays. So I'm going to give this class assuming no prior knowledge, even though I'm sure that some of you have gone to prestigious schools that have maybe helped you understand this a little bit more. I'm just gonna start from scratch and show you how I do it. And also, I'm gonna make the disclaimer that for this essay, you can either write it using MLA, Modern Language Association format, or APA. Yo, Catherine Morales, prefer APA from the American Psychological Association, because in linguistics, which is the area that I work in, the area for this class, linguistics is a social science. That means it looks at the science of society and human behavior, and language is part of human behavior, the way that we talk about it anyway. We don't talk about it from an interpretative, artistic perspective. We talk about it as a behavioral science. So usually that's why I use APA. So this class is gonna be about APA. But if you feel like you are more comfortable with MLA, you can do that as well. Or if you wanna try APA because you see yourself in the behavioral sciences or in biología, whatever, then this perhaps could be a good class for you because it'll help you for the future. Okay, so APA, we're doing APA. I'm going to be sharing some links that you may find helpful in your writing for this essay. So first and foremost as well, I want to highlight the date, the deadline for this assignment. So there's a lot of, I've been getting some weird emails about, oh, professor, can it not be this Friday? The essay is not for this Friday. I said that the essay is to work on this week and next week, and then by the end of next week, you submit it. So I gave you an October 9th deadline. October 9th es el viernes próximo. But if necessary, I would push it to Sunday de ese fin de semana, if necessary. Okay, but it's due end of next week. It's not due this week. It's the weekend de Octubre 9. All right? Also, why am I giving this class? Why should you care that you're logged in for this class? Because when you submit your essay, you're going to submit it through Moodle. And Moodle has a built-in option que se llama Turn It In. Maybe some of you have heard of Turn It In. Maybe some of you haven't heard of Turn It In. But Turn It In is a plagiarism detector program. Un programa que detecta plagio. So if you turn in an assignment or an essay that's full of quotes and full of things that somebody else says and barely has anything that you thought about it or you said or your interpretation, it's gonna flag it. Me lo va a marcar todo rojo, todo underline. And that's gonna affect your grade. Why? Because when we write an essay, the practice of giving someone an essay to write is supposed to be an analytical practice. So it's supposed to be you on your own, como que after watching something or reading some information on your own, taking the time to reflect about the subject, como que, oye, qué interesante, or how does that compare to what I... Hello? Can you hear me? Hello? That was
yes.
That was weird. I don't know what just happened. I think I got kicked out of my class. Anyway, yeah. All right. So when you write an essay, it's about you like taking in some information and then, oye, qué interesante. or maybe not so interesting, but this is what I think about the subject, or this is what I understood from my understanding, and this is my opinion or stance on the subject. So I'm gonna write about it from this perspective, and this is the evidence I'm gonna provide to sustain my argument or what I'm thinking, okay? So that's ideally why people assign essays. No es para que tú me enseñes que tú puedes hacer un collage de quotes de lo que fulanito de tal dijo fulano. No, that's incoherent, all right? So that's why I'm asking you to turn it in. So you gotta be careful with how you write and make sure that it's your own words, because plagio tiene que ver con academic dishonesty, and anything that's academically dishonest has to be flagged to the Dean of Academic Affairs, because at El Colegio, we are a fair institution and we promote critical thinking, not people stealing other people's ideas and writing them off as their own. So that being said, let's talk about citation. So we're talking about APA in this class, APA, which is useful for psychology, biology, linguistics, and other social sciences. All right, so usually, also one of you guys asks me where you could find the video for Monday's class. I'm sharing it here in a chat. That's Monday's class. It has 13 views. Okay, so now I'm gonna share a screen with you guys. All right, so whenever I work with people or with essays and I suggest useful tools, I always suggest the website from the University of Purdue, Purdue University. They have an English Writing Center, an online writing lab, and for years, they've been updating this website, which is used by so many teachers around the world and professors to teach how to write an essay. And it's quite good because it's always updated. And it gives you information about different citation styles. So, por ejemplo, right now, APA is in its 7th edition. Esa es la última edición de APA. APA style 7th edition. And you find it here on this website, Purdue Online Writing Lab. Déjame share the link with you guys on the chat. This is the website I'm looking at. Shared it with you on the chat. So on your left-hand side on this menu, you see your different formats. Aquí, Purdue OWL, APA, the first one. But then you also have style guides by MLA if you want to use MLA and you're like, no, I'm a literature person, or humanities, ahí está MLA. Chicago, nobody knows that. Only people in a select field, etc. So this is where I'm at, APA. All right. Some general information that you should know. Well, first of all, your essay is primarily going to be about a movie, un documental. So how do you cite a movie? Well, let's see all the different options that they give me. General format, el formato general del ensayo. In-text citation, lo básico. In-text citation, author, bla, 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 periódico. Books, other print sources, electronic, audiovisual, aquí estamos. Audiovisual, that's us. Movie, right? So this page reflects the latest version of APA Publication Manual APA 7, released in October 2019. Estamos bien. Estamos al día. All right, so film, video, that's where we are. So when you write an essay, there are two different ways that you should cite in an essay. Okay, so an essay about an idea, and you're citing other people's ideas, you need to provide you need to provide citations or references inside of your essay. So tú tienes que citar a personas dentro de tu ensayo. And you also need to cite them at the end of your essay. También tienes que citarlo al final en una lista de referencia. And I'm saying this in English and Spanish because I am aware that some people maybe have not been taught about citation. So it's important for you to understand this is how you can write an academically honest essay about other people's ideas. Okay. So how do I cite inside of an essay? ¿Cómo yo cito a alguien dentro de un ensayo, dentro del cuerpo del ensayo? How do I do it? All right. So when you're dealing with a film, and that link shows it to you, when you're providing in-text citation, you write the director. So the director is the important person in this, okay? So, tú pones el nombre del director, last name, surname is last name. Director surname in parentheses, followed by the year that that movie was released to the public, all right? So our film, if you go to the website of our film, vamos a ir al website, how do I find it? Well, you go to Google and you write Talking Black in America, Talking Black in America. And the first link that shows up is a link to our movie, okay? So it's talkingblackinamerika.org. Ese es el website para nuestra película, okay? And this website is very useful because it's actually not just one movie, but it's an entire project. Un proyecto de la Universidad de North Carolina State, okay? So they have actually 2 films on the subject of African-American English. The first film is about spoken African-American English, which is the one that we saw, and they recently released a new one, del lenguaje de señas de los African-Americans. But we're here, this is our territory, this is our website. So here's a synopsis to that, a summary about the film, viewers, resources. We're gonna visit this very soon, but right now, we just want some information about the DVD. Who are the creators? Well, it doesn't give us the name of the director on this website. So what we're gonna do instead is where it says that we should cite directors, we're gonna cite los producers, porque esa es la única información que tenemos. The people who showed up in the film, y los producers, these are them. So these are the main top dogs, all right? But perhaps the most important is your executive producer, Walt Wolfram. Ese es el profesor, the linguist behind the project in the film. And the others are television people and documentary people. All right, so those 3 names are important for your citation process. So I'm gonna give you the advice that a professor gave me when I first started writing papers and essays in academic English. When you cite somebody, or when you start writing an essay about somebody's work, you always want to introduce the person involved or the author involved as if they were guests at your dinner table. So, ¿qué significa esto? Significa que en tu introducción, or in your introduction, when you talk about the topic of the film, which is African-American English, and the experience of being Black and talking this way, when you write about it at the beginning in your introduction, you want to contextualize todo. So you can say, the film Talking Black in America, ¿verdad? En las primeras oraciones, by Walt Wolfram, que es el primero, executive producer, Danica Cooligan y Neil Hutchinson, y después en paréntesis, año que salió, que fue el 2018. Aquí te dice 2020, pero ese es el proyecto Talking Black in America. La película salió en el 2018. So, you say, the film Talking Black in America by Walt Wolfram, Neil Hutchinson, Danica Cooligan, parentheses, 2018, discusses or describes, y ahí das tu mini summary de qué se trataba la película or whatever, or, you know, the situation. And then after you sort of contextualize or give me a little bit of a background of the subject that's going to be discussed, in that introductory paragraph, tiene el thesis statement. And we're going to talk about what a thesis statement is, but not yet. Okay? But el punto es, when you start citing people, you give me their full names the first time that you cite them. The first time that you mention them, lo dice así en orden, their full names, introducing them like guests at a dinner table. Okay? And then after that, after you've given me their full names una vez solamente, right? After that, then you can proceed to summarizing or talking about the film in your own words. And whenever you cite an idea or a story or something that happened in the film, lo dices en tus propias palabras en la oración, and then you follow that sentence with paréntesis, Wolfram, producer, executive, et al significa y otros, coma, 2018, año of release. You no longer have to write the name of the people involved over and over and over again. No, simplemente just Wolfram et al, y se acabó. You already introduced them all at the beginning. You don't need to reintroduce them or talk about them de nuevo. All right? So that's how you do in-text citation. In-text citation is extremely important. I cannot emphasize how important it is. A lot of the times, people undervalue the importance of in-text citation, and they write things about what somebody else said, and they end up committing plagio, sin querer. No, no, no. Whenever you're citing something that somebody else said, or saying it in your own words, it doesn't matter if you say it in your own words, it's not your idea. So as long that it's not your idea, always make sure that you follow whatever sentence con el autor, all right? And another question that will pop up that I'm gonna answer now is, what happens when I'm actually citing what somebody in the film said que no fue productor, because that film, let's see who is involved in that film. The website tells us, okay, estos son the producers, right? But in that film, we hear the voices of all of these linguists, all of these experts. What Wolfram, ese él, is one of them. But we also have John Ball, Renee Blake, Lisa Green, Sonia Lanehart, toda esa gente. They all show up in the film. John Rickford, Arthur Spears, and they all give their expert opinion and evidence on the matter. So what you can do is you can say, you can even cite the minute if you want. In minute, qué sé yo qué más, ¿cuál es el nombre de él? Renee Blake or John Rickford said that quotation, lo que dijo John Rickford, y después el paréntesis de Wolfram et al. Because that's the film that you're citing, but at the end of the day, you're quoting somebody in the film. You're not quoting Wolfram. Okay, so always make sure that if you're citing somebody in the film, you also mention them. Okay, but you mentioned them outside of the parentheses, as if they were characters in a story. This is the information about the story itself, a source, Wolfram et al. But at the beginning, you put John Singler mentioned that blah, 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 blah. Wolfram, qué sé yo. Okay? Also, another important point to highlight is that when you provide citation, when you talk about somebody else's idea, there are two ways that you can do this. You can talk about somebody else's idea. How? Well, the first one that I'm sure you really love and a lot of students love es usar quotation marks para decir lo que somebody else said. That's the easiest, unquestionable, almost lazy approach to cite what somebody else said, ¿verdad? However, it's good to cite someone if you feel like they said it best and you could never top what they said. But you can't exploit that. Always do it as less as possible. Because at the end of the day, this essay is not about what Wolfram said. No es sobre lo que John Rigford said, que sé yo. I know what they said. I want to know what you thought, what you understood, your opinion or your interpretation of what they said, because I know what they said. So at the end of the day, I kind of don't really like quotations unless you're giving me a linguistic example of what somebody said, como hablarme, talk to me about a specific dialect feature or something about the African American dialect and you use quotation marks. That's great. But I would limit myself to accepting one direct quotation, two at most per paragraph. Okay, because I don't really like them. And again, it depends on the nature. Anyway, if you have questions about how much is permissible in terms of quotation marks, you can also feel free to como que tomarle foto de lo que escribiste y me lo mandas por texto y yo te digo that's too much or that's okay. I've done that as well. Usually, also, what I think is too much when people use this is that sometimes I'll get people who write like a paragraph. Vamos a suponer que esto es una oración larga. This is another long sentence, another long sentence, another. So these are 4 long sentences or 4 long lines of what somebody else said. Y después me lo cierran así, in quotation marks, and you end it with a period, and then you stick it in the middle of a paragraph. Yeah, nice. No explanation whatsoever. And it takes up 4 lines. That is lazy writing. That doesn't show me that you have independence of thought, which is one of the criterias in your rubric, que puedas pensar independiente, but you're literally copy pasting what somebody else said, providing no explanation, and it's a really long quote. Ugh. Okay. The shorter the quote, the better. Si es solamente 2 líneas, nice. Si es como que 3 o más, si es 3, I would be like, that's too much. If it's 4 or 5, don't do that to me. Don't be the person who like just writes a long quote and uses it as yours because you're gonna get marked down, and I don't want to do that. Okay, so also important, besides not exploiting direct quotations for everything and using it for everything and showing me that you're able to think about the subject, also important is that you explain your direct quotations. So if you use a direct quotation, I need to know, why am I seeing this? O sea, why is this here? Does this have a purpose? Are you backing up something that you said? Are you providing evidence to your interpretation of the subject? If yes, o sea, tú puedes decir, well, there's a lot of discrimination, blah, 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 in the United States. For example, when this person said, y ahí lo pone, okay, that makes sense. You know, the quotation marks and then the citation of the person. So I always make sure that there's a reason for your quotation marks to be there. Another way that you cite somebody else's idea is by paraphrasing. That is the best, most academic way to write an essay. Ese es el key to success to any English class, to any graduate school assignment, to write things in your own words. Okay? So how do you do this? How does it look like to actually write things in your own words in an essay? Well, let's go to Purdue really quick. So it says general format. So you can see more or less what I'm talking about. You don't need a title page because this is not that kind of essay. You don't need an abstract either. Okay, pero where's the body? Sample APA paper, aquí estamos. Here we go. So see, according to, and there's the name of the author, parentheses, el año del artículo, direct quotation, comma, comma. Here we've borrowed a quote from an external source, so we need to provide the location, right? Location, the author, and the page number. This is if it was an article. And then the follow-up sentence is explaining the reason this is there. As the practice constitutes, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know this. But basically, see, here you have one direct quotation, and here a description or explanation of that quotation and of the topic. So they're not exploiting the citation. Y es solamente una en ese paréntesis. Let's see, this one has one as well. See, and it's quite short. It's shortened with these dots. So you don't see the whole thing. You don't see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 líneas ahí de citation. And see how frequent in-text citation happens. This is the safest way to not be marked down by the program Turnitin. To cite as much as possible. If you're talking about somebody else's idea, to follow it up with this parentheses, the name of the author and the year. Siempre, a la segura. And look how they use, they're also using transition words to organize their thoughts. Mira, similarly, moreover. Maybe some of you don't know these words. So in this case, I would suggest going to the writing center if you feel like you don't know how to organize your thoughts in an academic way. But see, there's barely any quotations. Most of it is in people's own words. And if they're using information, mira aquí porcentaje, information that is not theirs, they always provide a source immediately afterwards in paréntesis. All right. So what happens if, the essay is about a film, right? But the topic is not just found in that film. There are many different sources that we could find outside of that film so that you don't end up citing Wolfram ahí todo el tiempo, Wolfram. So what other sources can be found on the subject? So the subject is African American English. And the essay question is it a legitimate variety of English? ¿Es legítimo? ¿Una manera legítima de hablar inglés? Sí, no, razones. ¿Por qué? Razones porque sí, razones porque no. Y así se organiza el ensayo, en las razones. So how do we Google the subject? What sort of information would be reliable? Okay, vamos a ver, African American English, un quick Google search. What information do I get? Wikipedia, horrible, no vayan allá. Okay, what else? Linguistic Society of America. Ah, that's great. Esa es la sociedad de lingüística que hay en Estados Unidos. Igual que psicología tiene uno. Este es el legitimate website. This is a professor who's also in the film. Author, John Rickford. Name of the article, what is Ebonics? And here you have some information, definition. What does it look like? What are the grammatical features? Ideologies, what do people think? Where did it come from? Origin. Ah, further reading. Si quieres saber más sobre el tema, ahí te da más. This is a good website. So how would you cite this website? Vamos para MLA o Purdue. So in our reference list, esto es under electronic resources because it's an online website. So linguisticsocietyofamerica.org is an electronic resource. So last name, Rickford, first name, John, abbreviated with a J. Year, no sale año en este artículo. Month, no sale. Okay, what do I do when there's no date? When there's no date, you write the abbreviation ND. ND. Déjame ver si lo puedo anotar aquí. I can't write here. ND, no date. En paréntesis. So here it would be Rickford, John, no date, name of the article, vale. Creo que el name of the article es What is Ebonics? I can't go back porque no me deja. What is Ebonics? Okay, title of the page, Linguistic Society of America. Okay, guys, a site name, Linguistic. Yeah, y después URL is the name of the website, the link. So copy paste the link. Okay, so this goes in italics, itálico, como ahí, site name punto URL. So that's how you would go about writing it in a reference list. Remember that when you cite something, you need in-text citation and you also need una lista de referencia at the end of your essay. All right, so let me stop annotating that. How do I stop? Se quedó ahí. Se quedó ahí. That's annoying. How do I get rid of that? Eraser. All right. That's a good website. What else is a good website? Britannica, that's an encyclopedia, is a good website. The Conversation, this is a good website. In this website, academics, like professors and PhD students, write about their area of expertise. So this article is written by Shanna Poplack. This is not like CNN or BBC, que son noticias, reportajes, que la gente reporta sobre what somebody else says. No, here only experts write. So Shanna Poplack, Distinguished University Professor, University of Ottawa, Sociolinguistics. Title of the article, I Don't Be Like That Now, The English History of African American English. So this is a good website to cite as well. And it has some nice examples. Tiene un mapita y todo. So you could cite from there. New Yorker, New Yorker es como CNN or BBC. I would be careful because it's not experts. It's people reporting on what experts said. Hawaii University, aquí están profesores experts. That's a good website. Hawaii University también. But again, when you read information or if you want to just write about the film, the best practice is to listen to it or read information about it and then think about what you understood in your own words. And try to write down what you understood in your own words. If you feel like your English writing is weak, if it helps, write it in Spanish first, and then translate it to English. If you need help in that aspect as well, there's a writing center that can help you. But the idea here is to rely on your own interpretation and thoughts as most as possible so that you're not tempted to como que plagiarize. Okay, that's the best way that you can go about it. Let me see. Anyway, the website is very useful, not just because it gives you information about the people involved, but maybe the best resource that you'll have está aquí. This is the name of the film, Viewers Resources. This is gold for you. This is the best thing you could do. Go here, viewer resources. Why? Because it gives you a discussion guide. Dale click a discussion guide. Super importante. It gives you a summary of the film. What's the film about here? Each and every one of these links are PDFs that talk about every single part of this movie by minute. O sea, it summarizes the key points of the movie by minute, ahí en esos PDF files. So I'm gonna share that with you as well on the chat. How would you cite these handouts? Aquí te dice el nombre de la autora que escribió el handout. However, at the end of the day, the people who wrote this are also these people as well. So, so how would you cite it? I would say just cite it as if it was the film. So instead of citing this PDF, cite it as the film, because ultimately this is information from the film. So te explica what is a linguist, what is linguistics, what do we mean by dialect or language variety? Discussion guide number 2, let's see them slowly. So you can see what I mean. Here, the first chapter, chapter 1, summarizes key points from minutes 0 to 5. So the first 5 minutes, what does the film talk about? What is talking Black? How do we label language varieties? What are some core aspects of African American English? What are some ideologies? ¿Viste? Aquí te da información summarized in a nice way. So again, if you read this or you decide to read this, you need to still say things in your own words, because if you were to copy things from here, it would still be flagged by Turnitin, and I would know as well. So it's always important to do it in your own words. But again, these links are very useful. Mira, we discussed chapter 3. It spoke about the rules behind African American English. Chapter 4, slave history, linguistic isolation. So the origin. It also talks about the origin of the Caribbean connection, how African Americans stopped first in the Caribbean, right? And how there's a link between the Caribbean and the African American experience in the United States. All of those different links by minute are provided in the viewer's guide. So it's a really good resource to have if you feel like you didn't understand part of the film, because the film link that I gave you, which by the way, if you haven't watched it, I'm gonna share it again. Déjame ver. Un Vimeo website. Vimeo. This movie doesn't have closed captions, no tiene subtítulo. So maybe it was difficult for you to follow. All right. So what you could do in that case is you can use those PDF handouts as guides. So if you didn't understand parts of the movie, well, those PDF handouts can help you. Okay, so let's go back to it. I'll Purdue. Okay, so we said the proper way to cite a website, the proper way to cite a movie. How do we cite the movie? In the reference list. How do we cite it? Director last name, director surname, their first name in initial. And in this case, we have 3 directors. So Walt Wolfram, Neil Hutchinson, y Danica Cooligan. So you put their last name, first name initial, comma, last name, first name initial, comma, and last name, first name initial, punto. ¿Verdad? Menciona los 3 puntos. Then parentheses year. Then title of the film in italics. Then in brackets, the format of the film, DVD. The name of the studio. What's the name of the studio? The name of the studio is the name of the project. The project that we're citing, which is the Language and Life Project. Name of the studio. And that's how you would provide that reference list for that. Let's go back to our Purdue. Déjame ver si lo cerré. Lo cerré. Conversation. Aquí estamos. So reference list is important. Your essay needs to have a reference list, and your essay needs to have in-text citation. And it needs to be double spaced with 12 font size times New Roman. Okay? And let's go back to the general format. ¿dónde está? A sample paper. ¿Dónde está? Sample paper. Okay. I don't care about the title page. I don't need a title page. Abstract es para otros papers. So you would write the title in bold of your essay, double space, there's an indent per paragraph. No hay space between paragraph. You just simply enter and you indent. That's APA. Number in the upper right-hand corner, and your name would go here. Catherine Morales, inglés, qué sé yo qué más, número de sección, fecha. Título, Talking Black in America, whatever. Or maybe you can come up with your own creative title in black. And then, you know, the body. And you know that your introduction sets the stage. Your introduction needs to have a thesis statement that tells me what the essay is about or what the essay is gonna argue for. So again, the question is African American English a legitimate variety? What, yes, no. So if you say no, reasons why no, yes, reasons why yes, ¿verdad? So you say, in this art, in this essay, you can say, despite the fact that this film advocates for inclusivity of African American English, I believe that X, ¿verdad? Or I think that XY, whatever, because of argument 1, argument 2, argument 3. Y pues esa oración, that magical sentence is your thesis statement. Why is it a thesis statement? Because it's your argument at the end of the day. It's your idea. It's your opinion, your academic stance. And it has your arguments all summarized into one neat sentence. Es una fórmula. Esta es mi opinión y estas son las evidencias, los argumentos. Oración. And that happens here in your introduction. And after you've written your nice thesis statement, usually it goes very nicely as the last sentence in your introduction. Okay, but después que you provide the anecdote or the story, that last sentence is your thesis statement of what you think or what you're gonna argue for, and then your reasons, and then the rest of the body is argument 1, or reason 1, argument 2, reason 2, argument 3, reason 3, y después la conclusión. In your conclusion, you can talk about how knowledge of this area can help the real world, or how we can combat language ideologies or negative ideologies against other people's Englishes, whatever, is tu conclusión. All right? If you treat the process of writing an essay literally like a formula, okay, tu introducción, body, conclusion, in your thesis statement, and you let yourself be guided by what you said you were going to talk about in your thesis statement, writing essays should come natural and should be really easy. Como una ecuación matemática, you just fill in the skeleton and you shouldn't have a problem whatsoever, all right? And if it's difficult for you and you feel like your academic English needs a little bit of help, there are different strategies you could use. You can write it first in Spanish, y después write it in English or translate it to English, then go to a writing center. That's one option. Or you can write it out first, como te salga, and then organize it. You do you. So there are different ways. But again, as I said, there's a writing center that's functioning online. And next week, I'm gonna assign you a writing buddy so that hopefully by next week you have a draft or perhaps an outline of what you're gonna do. And then by Friday, you're meant to submit it. The Friday, Sunday, ese gap, you submit it, okay? So that's how you're gonna do the essay. So any questions on formatting the link? You put it in a Word document. If you could just upload it as a Word document, that would be really great for me. Upload the assignment in a Word document. All right, so any other additional questions? Are we clear? So if there are no other questions, I have a class after this one. So again, you can email me or send me a message should you have any doubts in this process. Okay. Also look at the links that I provided. I'm gonna see if I can write a handout or a document with all the links I've shared as well. Okay, good. Well, see you then. Good luck.
Professor, can I ask you something before I leave?
Yeah.
I was wondering, the essay question prompt, like, do we have it on e-courses?
Good. Under announcements, and it's also on the video.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. If not, I can write it again.
Okay, because I entered the e-courses and I didn't see it, and I was like, I wanted to be sure, but yeah,
Under announcements.
Okay, I'll check there then. Thank you.
Okay. So if
Good
there are
day.
no other questions, have a good rest of the day. I'm gonna charge my computer. Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, profesora. Buenos días.
Okay.